What happens when a country music superstar sits down for what should be a routine interview, only to find himself in the middle of a verbal battlefield? Jason Aldean walked onto the view set expecting to talk about his latest album and upcoming tour dates. Instead, he found himself face-to-face with Joy Behar in what would become one of the most explosive moments in daytime television history. The tension started almost immediately. The questions got sharper, the answers got more direct, and before anyone knew what was happening, cameras were capturing something nobody expected. But before we get into exactly what went down, make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below telling us what you think about celebrity interviews getting this intense. The studio lights were bright as usual. The audience packed in tight, ready for another episode. Jason Aldean walked out wearing his signature style: jeans, boots, and a casual button-up, waving to the crowd as they cheered. The hosts greeted him with smiles, handshakes all around, and he settled into the guest chair. Whoopi Goldberg opened with some pleasantries, asking about his family and his recent tour stops. Jason smiled, relaxed, talking about life on the road and how much he loved performing for his fans. The conversation felt easy at first, light even. Sarah Ann asked about his songwriting process, and he dove into a story about writing songs late at night on the tour bus. The audience laughed at his jokes. Everything seemed normal. Then Joy Behar leaned forward. She had that look, the one regular viewers know all too well. The look that says the real interview is about to begin. She adjusted her glasses, glanced down at her notes, then looked straight at Jason with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "So, Jason," she began, her voice cutting through the casual atmosphere like a knife, "you have been pretty vocal about certain political issues lately. Your music video for Try That in a Small Town caused quite a stir. A lot of people felt like it was promoting violence, maybe even had some racial undertones. What do you say to those critics?" The studio got quiet. You could feel the shift in energy, like someone had turned down the temperature. Jason's smile faded just slightly, his jaw tightening. He took a breath, choosing his words carefully. "Well, Joy, I think that is a pretty unfair characterization of the song," he said, his southern drawl measured and controlled. "The song is about community, about people looking out for each other. It is about the values I grew up with in small-town America. It has nothing to do with race, nothing to do with promoting violence. It is about standing up for what is right." Joy was not backing down. She leaned in further, her voice rising just a notch. "But, Jason, the imagery in that video, the footage you used, some of it was from actual protests, actual moments of civil unrest. You cannot tell me you did not know how that would be perceived. You cannot tell me you did not know exactly what message you were sending." Jason shifted in his seat, his hands gripping the armrests a little tighter. The other hosts exchanged glances, uncertain whether to jump in or let this play out. "I knew exactly what message I was sending," Jason replied, his voice firm now, the politeness starting to strain. "The message was that lawlessness should not be tolerated, that burning down buildings, looting stores, destroying communities, that is not protest. That is not activism. That is crime. And people in small towns, people everywhere really, they are tired of seeing it excused and justified." The audience murmured, some nodding, others shaking their heads. Joy sat back, crossing her arms, her expression hardening. "So you are saying that people who were protesting for racial justice, people who were standing up against police brutality, they were just criminals. That is what you are saying." Jason's face flushed, his frustration beginning to show. "That is not what I said, and you know it. Do not twist my words. I never said peaceful protesters were criminals. I said people who burn, loot, and destroy are criminals. There is a difference, Joy, and I think you know that." Joy waved her hand dismissively, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Oh, I know the difference. But I also know a dog whistle when I hear one. And a lot of people heard that song and saw that video, and they heard something very specific. They heard a message that said, 'Stay in line, stay quiet, or else.' They heard a threat." Jason leaned forward now, his eyes locked on Joy, his voice dropping lower. "A threat? Are you serious right now? I am a musician. I write songs. I make music for people who work hard, who love their families, who believe in their communities. I am not threatening anyone. But you know what? I am also not going to apologize for believing that people should be held accountable for their actions. I am not going to apologize for thinking that destroying someone's livelihood is wrong, no matter what the cause. Sonny Hostin jumped in, trying to redirect. Jason, I think what Joy is trying to say is that context matters. The song came out at a very specific time, and whether you intended it or not, it became part of a larger conversation about race and justice in this country. Jason turned to Sonny, his expression softening just slightly, but his voice still edged with frustration. I understand that, Sonny. I really do. But I cannot control how every single person interprets my music. I can only control my intention. And my intention was never to divide people or to make anyone feel targeted. My intention was to speak to the people in my community, the people who feel like their voices are not being heard either. Joy jumped back in, not willing to let it go. Oh, their voices are not being heard. Jason, you are a millionaire. You have millions of fans. You have platforms most people could only dream of. Who exactly is not hearing you? Jason's eyes flashed, his patience visibly wearing thin. You know what, Joy? Just because I have success does not mean I do not get to have an opinion. Just because I have a platform does not mean I have to stay silent about things I care about. You have a platform too. You use it every single day to say exactly what you think. Why is it okay for you, but not for me? The audience erupted, some clapping, others gasping, the energy in the room electric. Joy's face turned red, her voice rising to match his. Because my platform is not being used to sell to people who want to turn back the clock on civil rights. My platform is not being used to make people feel unsafe in their own country. Jason stood up slightly, then sat back down, his hands running through his hair. He looked directly at Joy, his voice low and dangerous now. You do not get to tell me what my music means. You do not get to put words in my mouth or intentions in my heart that are not there. You are accusing me of something I am not, and frankly, it is insulting. Whoopi tried to step in, her voice calm but firm. Okay, let us all take a breath here. Jason, Joy. We are getting heated, and I think we need to remember we are having a conversation, not a battle. But Joy was not done. She pointed at Jason, her finger jabbing the air. No, Whoopi. I am tired of people like him hiding behind this small town. Traditional values nonsense, while pushing an agenda that hurts real people. You want to talk about community? Fine. Let us talk about all the communities that felt attacked by your song. Let us talk about them. Jason stood up fully this time, his body language screaming that he was done. His voice was quiet, but everyone heard it. I came here to talk about my music, my tour, my life. I did not come here to be accused of being a racist or a bigot by someone who does not know me, who has never walked a day in my shoes, who has never tried to understand where I come from. If this is what this interview is going to be, then I am done. The studio fell silent. All eyes were on Jason and Joy. Alyssa Farah Griffin spoke up, her tone trying to be diplomatic, but clearly concerned about where this was heading. Jason, I do not think anyone here is calling you a racist. I think what we are trying to do is have an honest conversation about how art intersects with politics, especially in times like these. Jason turned to her, his expression still tight, but appreciating the attempt at de-escalation. Alyssa, I respect that. I do. But there is a difference between having an honest conversation and being ambushed. I feel like I walked into a setup here. Joy made up her mind about me before I even sat down. She is not interested in understanding my perspective. She is interested in tearing me down. Joy scoffed loudly, throwing her hands up. Oh, please. You are not a victim here, Jason. You put that song out into the world. You made that video. You stirred up all this controversy, and now you want to act shocked when people question you about it. Give me a break. Jason's jaw clenched. He was trying to keep his composure, but you could see the anger building behind his eyes. I am not playing the victim. I am defending myself against false accusations. There is a difference. You keep saying I am dog whistling, that I am promoting violence, that I am trying to hurt people. None of that is true. And the fact that you keep saying it, over and over, no matter what I say, tells me this is not about the truth. This is about your agenda. Joy leaned back in her chair, a tight smile on her face that looked more like a grimace. My agenda. My agenda is calling out dangerous rhetoric when I see it. My agenda is making sure people understand the real-world consequences of the things you are putting out there. You think it is just a song? It is not just a song, Jason. Words matter. Images matter. And when you combine them the way you did, you create something that empowers people who already want to do harm. Jason shook his head slowly, his voice rising now, the control starting to slip. You are making assumptions about millions of people you have never met. You are painting my fans, good people, hardworking people, as some kind of angry mob waiting to attack someone. That is incredibly disrespectful. These are teachers, nurses, construction workers, parents just trying to get by. And you are sitting here acting like they are dangerous because they relate to a song about community values. Sarah N. tried again to mediate, her voice gentle. I think both of you are coming from places of genuine conviction. Jason, you clearly feel misunderstood. Joy, you clearly feel strongly about the impact of this kind of messaging. Maybe we can find some common ground here. But Joy was shaking her head before Sarah even finished. No, Sarah, there is no common ground when someone refuses to acknowledge the harm they are causing. Jason can stand here and talk about his intentions all day long, but intentions do not erase impact. And the impact of that song, whether he wants to admit it or not, has been to embolden people who have very ugly views about this country. Jason stood up again, this time staying on his feet. His voice was loud now, filling the studio. Show me the evidence. Show me one person, one single person, who committed a crime and said my song made them do it. You cannot, because it does not exist. You are creating a narrative that fits your worldview, and you are using me as the villain in your story. I will not sit here and accept that. The audience was fully engaged now, some shouting support for Jason, others for Joy. The other hosts looked at each other, clearly unsure how to regain control. Joy stood up too, matching his energy, her voice cutting through the noise. You want evidence? Fine, let us talk about the comments under your video. Let us talk about the thousands of people saying things like, we need to take our country back, or this is what real America looks like. You do not think that language has meaning? You do not think that feeds into something bigger? Jason pointed at her, his frustration boiling over. Comment sections. Are you serious? You are going to judge me based on random internet comments. By that logic, you are responsible for every hateful thing anyone has ever said in support of your views. Is that fair? Should I hold you accountable for what anonymous people write online? Joy's voice got even louder. That is not the same thing, and you know it. Those people are responding to your message, to your imagery, to the dog whistle you blew whether you want to admit it or not. You created the space for that kind of talk. Jason threw his hands up, his voice dripping with exasperation. I created a song about not tolerating crime in communities. That is it. Everything else, all this other stuff you are piling on, that is coming from you. You are the one making it about race. You are the one making it about division. I never said any of that. Whoopi stood up now, too, her voice authoritative, trying to bring order back. Okay, everybody needs to sit down now. We are not going to do this. We are not going to turn this into a shouting match. Jason, sit down. Joy, sit down. Joy sat, but her eyes never left Jason. He remained standing for a moment longer, breathing hard, then slowly lowered himself back into the chair. But you could tell he was perched on the edge, ready to bolt at any second. Whoopi continued, her tone firm but measured. Jason, I think what you are hearing from Joy, and from a lot of people, frankly, is that timing matters. When you release a song with that message, with that imagery, in the climate we are living in, it is going to be read through a certain lens. That may not be fair to you, but it is reality. Jason nodded slowly, his voice quieter now but still tense. I hear that, Whoopi. I really do. But here is what I am struggling with. If I cannot make art that reflects my values, my experiences, my community's concerns, without being called a racist or a bigot, then what is the point? Am I supposed to just stay silent? Am I supposed to only make music that passes some kind of political correctness test? Joy jumped back in, unable to help herself. No one is saying you cannot make music. We are saying you need to be responsible about it. You need to think about the message you are sending and who it is empowering. You have a responsibility, Jason, whether you like it or not. Jason's eyes flashed again, the brief moment of calm evaporating. A responsibility to who? To you. To people who already decided they hate me before they even heard the song. I have a responsibility to my fans, to my family, to be honest about who I am and what I believe. I do not owe anyone an apology for that." Sunny leaned forward, her legal background showing as she tried to find a logical path through the argument. "Jason, let me ask you this. Do you understand why some people, particularly people of color, might see that video and feel like it is targeting them? Can you at least acknowledge that their feelings are valid, even if that was not your intent?" Jason took a deep breath, considering the question carefully. When he spoke, his voice was measured again. "Sunny, I can acknowledge that people felt a certain way. I can acknowledge that their feelings are real to them. What I cannot acknowledge is that their interpretation is correct, because it is not. My song was not about targeting anyone based on their race. It was about behavior, not identity. And I think that distinction is really important." Joy rolled her eyes dramatically. "Oh, here we go. The old, it is not about race. It is about behavior argument. Jason, do you know how many times throughout history people have used that exact line to justify discrimination? Do you know how many times people have hidden behind, 'Oh, I am just talking about the bad ones, not all of them'? Come on, you are smarter than that." Jason's face went red, his voice rising again. "Do not patronize me, Joy. Do not sit there and act like you know my heart better than I do. You do not. You have never lived my life. You have never walked through a small town and seen what happens when law and order breaks down. You have never talked to the store owners whose businesses got destroyed, the families who lost everything. But I have, and those people deserve a voice too." Joy leaned forward, her voice venomous now. "Those people have voices. They have the entire criminal justice system backing them up. They have politicians falling all over themselves to fund the police. They have people like you writing songs for them. Who is speaking for the people who are scared of the police? Who is speaking for the communities that have been over-policed and underprotected for generations?" Jason stood up again, and this time there was a finality to it. "Apparently, not me, according to you, because according to you, I am the problem. I am the bad guy. Well, you know what, Joy? I am done trying to explain myself to someone who has already convicted me. I came here in good faith. I came here to have a conversation. But this is not a conversation. This is an interrogation. This is a trial. And I am not going to sit here and be your punching bag." The other hosts started talking at once, trying to calm things down, but Jason was already reaching for his microphone pack. "Jason, wait," Alyssa said, her voice almost pleading. "Let us just take a beat here. Let us reset." But Jason was shaking his head, his hands working to remove the mic clipped to his shirt. No reset. I am good. I thought the View was a place where different perspectives could be shared, where real conversations could happen. But I see now that is only true if your perspective matches what Joy and the producers want to hear. If you do not fit their narrative, you are the enemy. Joy stood up again, her voice sharp. "Oh, you are going to run away. That is your answer. When the questions get tough, when someone pushes back on your nonsense, you just leave. Real brave, Jason. Real tough." Jason turned to face her fully, and the look on his face was pure fury barely contained. "I am not running from anything. I am choosing not to waste any more of my time or my breath on someone who is not interested in the truth. You made up your mind about me before I walked through that door. Every question you have asked has been designed to trap me, to make me look bad. I am not playing that game." Whoopi stepped between them, literally putting herself in the middle. "All right, that is enough. Both of you. Jason, if you want to leave, that is your choice. But let us not end this with more attacks. Joy, let him go if he is going." Joy crossed her arms, her voice dripping with sarcasm one last time. "By all means, leave. Go back to your echo chamber, where everyone tells you how great you are and no one challenges your views. That must be nice." Jason stared at her for a long moment, his jaw working like he was chewing on words he desperately wanted to say, but knew he should not. Finally, he spoke, his voice low and controlled, but shaking with emotion. "You know what the saddest part of all this is, Joy? I actually used to respect you. I used to think you were someone who cared about real dialogue, about understanding different perspectives. But you are not. You are just as closed-minded as the people you claim to fight against. You just have a different set of blinders on, and that is really disappointing." He finished removing his microphone and set it carefully on the chair. The studio was dead silent now, everyone watching, waiting to see what would happen next. Jason looked at each of the other hosts, nodding to them. Whoopi, Sarah, Sunny, Alyssa, thank you for trying. I appreciate it. I really do. Then he turned and walked toward the exit. You could hear his boots on the studio floor, each step echoing in the silence. Joy called after him, unable to resist one last jab. Run back to your small town, Jason. I am sure they will all tell you that you were right and I was wrong. Jason stopped walking. For a second, it looked like he might turn around, might come back for one more round. But instead, he just shook his head, pushed through the studio door, and disappeared. The door swung shut behind him with a heavy thud that seemed to punctuate the entire disaster of an interview. The cameras stayed on the hosts, capturing their shocked faces, the uncomfortable shifting, the uncertain glances at each other. Whoopi tried to recover, turning to the camera with a strained smile. Well, that was certainly intense. We are going to take a quick break. But before they could cut to commercial, you could hear Joy's voice, still fired up, still unable to let it go. Good riddance. I said what I said, and I meant it. So there you have it. One of the most explosive interviews in daytime television history. Jason Aldean walked onto that set expecting a normal promotional appearance and walked off after one of the most heated exchanges The View has ever seen. The clash between him and Joy Behar showed just how deep the divide runs in this country, how the same words can mean completely different things to different people, and how quickly a conversation can turn into a battle when both sides believe they are absolutely right. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and drop a comment below. What do you think? Was Jason right to walk off, or should he have stayed and kept defending himself?